Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2:02 p.m., and I want to be mindful of everyone's time this afternoon, but thank you for joining the Black Doctoral Network Workshop Series, our beginning workshop, and where the series will be entitled Networking and Sisterhood, Keys to Building a Supportive Professional Community. And I think we all can appreciate that and definitely need that in our lives. We're so fortunate this afternoon to have Dr. Melody Shelton Williams, who is a native of Hampton Roads, Virginia. She earned her Doctor of Philosophy in English from Old Dominion University in 2014. She also obtained her MA from ODU in 2009 and her BA from Virginia Commonwealth University in 2005. And in May of 2021, she will complete her second doctorate, a Doctor of Ministry from Virginia Union University. The short description of the workshop this afternoon is that Dr. Mel will speak to us about the importance of securing healthy, affirming relationships with fellow women throughout one's career that are critical for growth in academic and industry settings. Now, please feel free to ask questions. You can put them in the chat. If you'd like, of course, we'll have opportunity to go over questions at the end. I will also provide a link to you for a testimonial, and also to get just the feedback that we need for as far as evaluation is concerned for the Black Doctoral Network, and also if you have any other ideas for our workshop series. So without further ado, Dr. Melody Shelton Williams, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me today. So honored to be the inaugural person for the workshop. That's pretty cool. And so thank you also to everybody that's here. I'm so excited to really be doing this today. I think this is an important topic. So I'm ready to jump right in. I'm excited. Okay. I don't know if the moderator wants me to go ahead and talk for a little bit, and then we'll just kind of open the floor. Okay.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. So I prepared for us just some few key points I think will be helpful today. When I thought about doing this particular topic or this workshop, it really came close to my heart, because I feel like much of what I've experienced and accomplished, and I still feel like I have a ways to go, as I'm sure many on this workshop might feel the same. I feel it's because of my network. I feel it's because I really developed a strong circle of Black women in particular for myself that function as my core, really as my center. And I don't think we can minimize how important it is to have that. And I wanted to do this workshop in part because I didn't always have that. And so over the years, I've learned the value of building that, and also what to do when you recognize there might be a hole, there might be a gap. Of course, we know life happens, people's careers shift and change. And so you can have seasons and experiences where you have great relationships, and then you can find yourself sometimes in what I might call a relationship desert, meaning you're lacking that and you recognize that. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about just how we navigate those transitions that our lives naturally go through, and to value each moment in the process. And so I've learned to really appreciate the relationships I've had and the ones that have transitioned on. And I feel like, even when you feel sometimes you grow apart from people, you always hold them in your heart for what they helped you either to do or how you contributed to their life. So I think that's important too. So the learning objective I came up with, and y'all, I'm a professor by trade, so I'm always going to have a learning objective, but just for us to build a network of healthy female relationships that support our personal growth and professional progress. With that said, I'm going to jump in and tell a little bit more about my story. I know the moderator gave us a great bio, but I do want to talk a little bit about my backstory, if that's all right. Okay, I'm going to just take about maybe 5 to 7 minutes to tell y'all the story. But I'm born and raised in Hampton Roads, Virginia. I'm a military brat. I guess I'm the 4th of 5. I had a father that was in the Navy and a mother who was a stay-at-home mom. And we were kind of, I would say, in the demographic of lower middle class. So in a suburban neighborhood, that's kind of where I grew up, and had relatively stable childhood until about 8 or 9. And during that time period, my father took seriously ill and would later be diagnosed with diabetes, but that required him to then be discharged medically from the military. And that actually marked a transition in my childhood. So we went from a relatively stable household at that point to an unstable one, partially because after my father was discharged, and he was, I think, the pillar in his family. He was a Black man that had earned quite a bit of recognition in the military. He was an officer. He struggled when he was discharged. He would later develop a drinking and substance abuse habit. And that transitioned to our family really going into a period where experiences that I hadn't had prior to that point occurred. And so as he developed his habit, that meant that we went from having the normal necessities, food, clothing, shelter, that sort of thing, to neglect. He became physically abusive to my mother. So I really transitioned from being in a pretty stable household to a household with domestic violence and substance abuse. So by the time I was about 11 years old, really had transitioned from an outgoing, bubbly kid to kind of shy, quiet, reserved, reluctant. And so I didn't look like on paper at that point, my grades weren't very good as a person who would go on to have any type of academic success. But it was also during that period that I really developed a deep sense of faith. And that faith is really what kind of carried me through some of the more difficult challenges. And my parents would eventually separate and divorce. My mother would later be diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so that was also a trying period in my life, particularly as a young adult, early adulthood. And when I got to high school, I had a 1.7 GPA. I tell people this all the time, straight D's. Now, I wasn't trying to repeat any grades, so I did not fail. But, just was not trying, just did not have a passion to pursue anything, especially academic. But I had a guidance counselor who pulled me aside, who took the time to look up my elementary school record. And she basically said, I don't know what's happened along the way, but I know you have the potential to do more than what you're doing. And that was when something kind of awoke in me. And probably, honestly, the first time, while this wasn't a Black woman, it was another woman who began to kind of affirm the potential that I had, that there was something else in me. And so I kind of latched onto that. And I immediately made a change, transition from making, poor grades to making honor roll and being, more engaged in school. By the time I got to high school, I was able to graduate with an advanced diploma. I'm a first generation college student, so neither my mother nor my father had completed a college degree, and had someone in the guidance office who worked with at-risk or lower income students to help them pursue college. And so she was the person that walked me through my financial aid, walked me through filling out college applications, and I was accepted to Virginia Commonwealth University. And so in 2002, graduated from high school and then went off to VCU. And that was the first time where I really think I felt like, wow, there were people who had taken an interest in what I was able to do. And these women, performed specific and significant roles in helping me get there. And so I went away to VCU. During that time, my mother really took a decline in terms of her mental health. She was no longer able to live on her own. She had to go live with my older siblings. They were in the military also and stationed overseas. So when she left, I had no permanent home at that point. So I decided to stay on campus at Virginia Commonwealth, and I became a resident assistant, so I have a place to sleep on the weekends and holidays, and finished my undergrad in 3 years in those contexts, and graduated from there in 2005. I came back to Hampton Roads. I'm sorry, does someone have a question? I thought I heard a... Okay. Came back to Hampton Roads, got married. I was at that age 21. And then decided to go for my master's. I was working an entry-level job, post-undergrad. And while I enjoyed the work and I was earning decent money, I just didn't feel like it was fulfilling like my passion. I felt like there was more. And I had majored in English and wasn't doing anything with the English degree, but I felt like there was something else in me. And so I decided to go pursue my master's in English. And that's when I really began to fall in love with being on a campus beyond even what I did in undergrad. And I connected and I recognized, okay, I need to be in higher ed in some way, shape, or form. I need to transition from what I was doing, which was working insurance, to getting into higher ed. So I finished my master's degree, and then I decided just to throw things out there into the atmosphere, see what happens, and apply to the doctoral program at ODU. And I was accepted. And so I was also offered the opportunity to, have my tuition paid for, do it full time if I did like an assistantship over the course of 3 to 4 years. But of course, that assistantship was paying nothing near what I was making in my job. I was getting promoted consistently while I was doing work as an insurance adjuster. And so I had to make a huge choice at that point to kind of walk away from a very well-paying job, more money than anyone in my family had ever made, and go do this assistantship and just kind of try to, do my best and make it along the way. And I had a wonderful mentor that I met with and talked about, my decisions, what I was going to do. And she basically encouraged me to go after the thing that I felt was, my heart, the thing that I felt like awakened my spirit when I did the work. And so I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave this job. I'm gonna do the PhD full time. And that's what I did. So I did that in 2009. Year into the PhD, I'm teaching one of my classes on campus, and I feel a huge pain in my chest. I collapse on the whiteboard. And because I'm such a driven person, as I know some people probably can relate, I decided to ignore it, keep teaching, and finally went home to lay down before a night class that I had as a doctoral student. And when I laid down, I woke up and couldn't breathe. And so I was so concerned about getting to the class that I thought I'll drive myself to the hospital, get some medication, figure out what this is, and maybe still be able to make class that night. Well, needless to say, I didn't make class that night. The ER doctor, did tests. They did an MRI, and they discovered I had blood clots on either side of my heart. And my heart was barely beating at that point. I had a pulmonary embolism, 2 bilateral, and 1 DVT in my leg that was about to break off and travel. And so most people with PEs, within 30 minutes of the discovery, they pass. And here I am sitting here with 2 on either side of my heart, and one that looks like it's heading that way, and I'm alive and breathing. And so they admitted me to the hospital, needless to say. And that was a journey. That was a challenge. Thank you. Jennifer said, thank God I am here. And it was really honestly a miracle, still a marvel to the people that treated me, that I survived that encounter, was hospitalized for 7 days. I was supposed to be put into surgery the 3rd day when the medication was not working, but miraculously, the medication began to work. And I did not require surgery or to have anything put in that could have been life-threatening at that point because of the condition of my blood flow in my heart at that time. And so I'm, 7 days in the hospital. I'm working on work. Anybody y'all know, for having gone through a doctoral program, life does not stop. So I'm in the hospital room, working on work. I had one professor, believe it or not, who did not want to accommodate me in any way, despite what had happened. And so that's a whole nother story. But made it through that occurrence. And then the following year, my dissertation advisor, Dr. Richards, developed a brain tumor and passed rather suddenly. And so that was another major hit for me, just personally as well as professionally. He just really functioned as a super support for me, but continued through that. And in 2014, graduated with my PhD in English. At that age, I was 29. And so went through those hurdles. I thought, wow, the worst of it is over. And then shortly after that, my marriage just declined. Went through a divorce after that. In about 2018, I was newly divorced and trying to figure out what my next steps were. And then again, something awakened in my spirit about working on the nonprofit that I had thought about doing since I began teaching, really. And it's called the Dreams Institute. And it's really a nonprofit to serve underserved students like myself, and women of color like myself. And so I decided to go ahead and launch that nonprofit. I just felt like it was the right time to do that. And I didn't have anything holding me back at that point. And so I decided in 2018 to launch the nonprofit. And as I began to work on it, I realized this is really kind of like a research project. Like, you know, even though this is something that I feel like is my passion to do, I was like, you know, I really could do a study about launching this nonprofit, serving these demographics, and looking at how mentoring can impact and inspire Black women in particular entering early adulthood. So I decided even before I applied to a DMin program that if I was, you know, going to do another doctorate, that would be my research project. And so applied to a couple different places and then landed with Virginia Union in Richmond. And so there's a whole nother story with that. But picked up the phone, called the program at that time. The person who's now my dissertation advisor was the program director as well. We talked for like 45 minutes, just clicked. And she was like, you know, we have a new cohort coming out in, I think, 2 weeks. If you can get your stuff in, you can be in that cohort. And again, the leap of faith type of person that I am, I said, yep, I'm going to go for it. And so I did that and started with them. And now here 3 years later, I'm finishing up that doctorate degree, so that DMin will be in the books, and I'm just excited to see what the future holds. But you know, even in what I shared, I think you can see that I've realized along the way that if it wasn't for key people, and particularly key women who just affirmed what was in me and were willing to kind of partner with me in my professional success, but also in me kind of being a support for them, I've been able to achieve a lot of things. And I feel like even teaching now, that's the benefit of networking and sisterhood and building those connections. So that's why I'm really passionate about this. This is right in line with what I'm doing right now with my dissertation. It's called Mentoring with Womanist Mission. And so it just all folds into this idea that we need each other and we are stronger together. And that is important, even if we haven't always had the best experiences, to continue to be open to building those healthy, affirming professional and personal relationships.
Well, I'll tell you, that is just an awesome, awesome story, an awesome testimony. Would anyone like to say anything? I've definitely been seeing the comments in the chat too as well. And I agree too, Dr. Williams, we are so happy and so thankful and so blessed that you are here, and also to share your story as far as what you've been through, and the people that have been in your corner, been right there, that God has put before you, I think, to help you too as well. Would anyone like to ask a question or make a comment, or either you might have a testimonial too as well as to the women that have been in your life to help you? Just unmute and go for it. Well, I got some. Okay, I see Dr. Parker. Go on.
Hi, sorry, I'm just wanted to pipe in and say, Dr. Williams, I really wanted to just thank you for sharing your story and for being so transparent with us. This is such a important conversation, and I actually lost my mom this year, and so just having a sisterhood of you know, fellow people that we can reach out to and be in discussion around and support is just so important. So I wanted to just thank you for sharing your story.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, and thank you for sharing that. Even, you know, I think sometimes we have to create safe spaces for each other to do those things, even share those things. And I think it's important for us to talk about the things that, you know, we have great things that do happen, but I try to share the things that also that were hard, that were difficult. Because we need to know that you can get through those as well. And sometimes you just need people to get in there with you a little bit and just feel that with you. And I think that's a beautiful thing about meaningful relationships, that you get those opportunities.
LaTanya?
Hi, yes, Dr. Williams. I just wanted to say thank you. Your story was very inspirational, and I share some similar things in my story. With you, it's just awesome to see how a Black woman has gone through what she's gone through, and yet God has placed people in your life who still believed in you, who still helped you persevere, and, you know, built that inside of you, like, you know, I'm somebody. You know, I'm sure there were other obstacles, you know, you haven't mentioned. But I mean, you know, I'm a student, I'm a graduate student right now. And, you know, it's hard for me to find other African-American women who are just real and you know, I can talk to and, you know, share my own story with, and just, you know, not to have a pity party, but to build each other up, or say you can do it, or I've been there, or, you know, you had a parent who hasn't had a mental illness or substance abuse, you know, because after a lot of people make it, you know, they want to say, hey, you know, I don't come from there, you know, or you know, I don't identify with that anymore, you know, that's not me. And of course, yes, you're not that person you were in the past when you were in a valley, but you understand those who are going through it at that moment. So I just want to say thank you for your story. Maybe I can connect with you in the future if you are, I guess, taking on like professional development mentees or something like that. So
oh yeah, for sure. That's what my nonprofit does. I have a lot of women in what we call our Dreams Institute Black Women's Network. And it really is that. And I love it because we choose the level of engagement. So some people we talk maybe once a year. And yes, it's a long talk that one time. And we kind of roll through what each other's doing, you know, what they're going through. But we connect in that way. I have one that she's just, I joke her because I joke her as my problem child, but she only calls me when she has a problem. But we have an understanding that that's the role I'm there for her life. She's usually flying good, but when something come up, she'll reach out and I'm like, good. So I respect what her needs are. And at the same time, I learn just by listening to the things that she goes through because it helps me mentor under other women. So I think it's giving people the space to need you in the ways in which they need you, rather than demand, oh, you know, we got to talk this much or we got to do whatever. So I know sometimes people say, well, you only call me when you need something. But for me, I know sometimes literally that's all you really need. Some people, that's all you need is just when I need you. That's when I'm going to call and we can dialogue. We can flip it back and forth. We can, you know, think about some solutions, and that's it. So yes, I'm open to that. That's definitely what my nonprofit is for. So I'd love to connect. Yeah.
So Dr. Williams, while you were doing that, could you put your email address or the way that they can contact you in the chat?
Okay.
So we'll have that. I'm sorry, LaTanya, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make sure you got that.
I'm going to do the same thing you just did to ask how.
Okay, Monique, I did see your hand up.
Hi, ladies. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may reside. My name is Monique. Thank you. And Dr. Williams, I just want to say your story and your journey that we've all heard is very inspirational. It's given me some encouragement listening to you. And I'm a first-year doctoral student. And to echo LaTanya, I've had some struggles with connecting with others that are with not only within my culture, but just connecting with the cohort as well as a whole. It's been difficult, but I'm working on it and doing my best. And I'm a doctoral student in the educational justice field. And I'm here to get help to get support and see ways that I can grow and network. And so looking for other mentors that preferably, you know, can definitely help grow help grow me in my field, and to communicate and to help me troubleshoot challenges that will be forthcoming, because I know that there's always going to be challenges, especially with the Black woman who wants to continue to progress and to flourish and evolve. So thank you, ladies, for setting this platform up, and thank you, Dr. Williams.
Thank you. All right, Shay.
It's really Shani. I had to switch
Okay.
to my iPad because my laptop decided to act crazy in the midst of Dr. Williams speaking. So it's Shani though, and I didn't get to fix my name on here. But hello, ladies. I'm gonna spin off what Monique said, but also into what Dr. Williams was talking about. This is my first event with the doctoral network since I've joined. I did join with the hopes of meeting other women, meeting people who are in their doctoral program. I know everyone's in their different phases of life with it. My journey is very interesting. I won't keep y'all with my story, but I am a first year. I'm only in my fourth month in, so I'm very new. And I will say the hardest part for me, because I'm doing it online, is the cohort. It is finding a mentor. I'm used to being the mentor to younger people as an adult learner. Finding someone that I can relate to, that can understand what I'm looking to do and kind of just give me insight. It's been a struggle. So I'm kind of here to meet, network with people, and maybe possibly find a mentor because it's been hard. And that's really it. But I thank you for this platform. Your story is amazing. Sometimes when you do hear other people's journeys, you're like, wow, I can get through. It's not as much of a struggle as I think it is. I can get through it. So I thank you for sharing your insight.
Dr. Shear, I see you put something in the chat. Would you like to say a little bit about it, please? Let's just hear your melodious voice.
Hello, how's everyone this afternoon? I'm actually traveling on the road, so that's why I put it in the chat. But I just wanted to share, Dr. Williams, thank you for sharing your story and your struggles as a military brat. My children were military brats also, and I'm sure they experienced lots of struggles and lots of challenges with, military parents and things. But, your strengths and your struggles, through your strengths and having the right mentor that saw the potential in you to help you get out of that 1.7 GPA and get you on the right track was a great start that propelled you to where you are today. And I'm proud of you, and thank you for sharing that story. And I would love to be a part of your organization and just work with you and some of the other ladies. I actually mentor ROTC female cadets. So I would love to participate in your organization.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah. And just to reiterate, like I tell, whenever I talk to students in particular, and sometimes parents too, like you couldn't look at me and say, she's going to do this, she's going to become this. And quite frankly, a lot of other people who were tapped to be this or that, now, years later, as I'm sure some of us have also experienced, you're like, you shouldn't have, counted me out because I was the one that you didn't think. But because we look sometimes with, lenses, and we measure, especially students, by certain, and then it's like, oh, that's the one. But that's why you can't look, just with surface things. And so I think when we think particularly about Black students, that's the thing that really tugs at my heart. Because I ain't had no huge, I didn't have 50 million scholarships, and I wasn't on nobody's. I just wasn't that person. But that potential was always there. And I'm grateful for the people that, just like you said, just saw it. And that is what I feel like was the work of God, because, they didn't have
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, there's, you see people and you never know their struggles, but, some people can see and say, I see what you're doing, but I can see far greater than where you are. And sometimes it just takes a hand out to reach out to help. And that's what a lot of people need. I think if I had a mentor in high school, my whole trajectory and outward would probably have been a whole lot different. But it starts even like elementary, middle school, because you don't know where kids are coming from, their home life and stuff. And when they get to school, that's just like a social outlet
Yeah.
for them, and an escape from who knows what's going on in their home life. So
That's right.
if a counselor or a teacher or someone can see that potential at an early age, then that person will, have someone to look forward to. Just like the bus driver, she sees kids every day, they get on the bus probably sleepy, hungry, tired. So she see those things that sometimes parents don't even see. So, well, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sherritt. Shaw, and I know you told me not Shaw, but what is your major?
Sorry, it's Shani.
Shani.
And yes, it's a PhD in general psychology with emphasis in education and technology integrated.
Okay, could you put that in the chat, and maybe we can help you too to find a mentor or someone else that would, do, because that's what I wanted to ask you. And Monique, you said educational justice, correct?
Yes, educational leadership and social justice.
Okay, I may have someone that I know that would mentor you.
Oh,
She's a past Commonwealth attorney in Virginia, and she just recently got her doctorate last year, but of course she's an attorney. So I can pass that on to you if you put your email in the chat.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to say anything? I'm getting ready to ask you a few questions about what type of people backgrounds are in your network. You have 2, 3, 4 people, 1 or 2. And I know you still have a network, Dr. Williams.
Yeah, I do. But the interesting thing is, it's so amazing because you're right on target with what I was going to say, that you really want a diverse background of people in your network. You definitely want someone, I believe, who's doing what you're doing or in the field or industry within, the close realm. I say the realm of what you're doing, because they have in some way, they haven't necessarily walked your path exactly, but they've walked it close enough that they understand, okay, here. So for instance, if I'm pursuing my doctorate or my PhD in English, I'm looking for someone that's probably full-time faculty somewhere. They don't necessarily have to be my discipline, but humanities would be great because we understand, tenure processes and things like that can be different if that's where you're headed. So, someone in the realm of what you're doing. But then I also have other women that are not. I had one of my close mentors is the first lady of my church, and she don't really like that title, but so she goes by elder. She really was one of my key, and still is one of my key mentors. But she has a CPA. She had her own practice. I want to say her PhD is is it ETD or PhD? I'm not sure, but I want to say her doctorate is in education or educational leadership. But she's been really critical to me at different stages. She was divorced, remarried several years by the time that I connected with her. Certainly someone who I think functions as like a mentor mother, because she's, around my mother's age. Now, because my mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia, it really was, again, important for me to have someone who could function in a motherly capacity. So I do consider her like a spiritual mother to me because I needed that. Now, some people may not need that extent because they may have a very strong mother figure in their role, maybe a mother or grandmother. I really did not have that. My grandmother passed years ago. So that, was important to me to have that. But in terms of field, we're really not in similar fields. She has taught before, as a part-time professor or visiting professor, but primarily she does function in I think a life skills role for me. So she was critical in helping me walk through my divorce. She was very honest with me about some things that perhaps were not healthy. And this is where I'm being real, because we go through life skills or life challenges where we may not have the skill set. And we do need someone who can correct us. We do need someone who can pull us back and say, okay, I know you're very upset. I know your emotions are high. I know but that may not be the best way to go about it. And I appreciate her for that. And there was one time when we were talking about the situation when I was going through the divorce, and I mean, I didn't get heated, but I could feel myself get really emotional. And then I realized that I had kind of got really emotional. I apologized. I said, oh my God, I didn't, you know, because I had never spoken with that energy with her before. But she just said, I understand. She said, Mel, you're going through a very, very powerful life event. You know, you're going through something very significant. She said, I understand. And so even the space for me to have moments like that with somebody who can, as I said, mother me, but at the same time, correct me, give me space to grow. I would say, honestly, now we probably talk less than we did, but it's not because our relationship has waned in any way, but more so, I think I've grown. And one of the beautiful thing I think about our mentor-mentee relationship is as I grow, I can see our relationship transitioning a little bit. And even when we talk, even though I still will always hold her in this kind of high esteem, and I don't know if I would ever call her a friend, there's this kind of friendship that I think has developed, or connection that has transitioned as I've matured. And I'm appreciative of that. And I think since I'm a mother of one myself, I have a daughter, I can see now probably as she gets older, our relationship will shift and transition in different ways. And so, you know, she's part of my network. And then I have my close friends who are my age. And they are also part of my core network. And they are women who, you know, they make me laugh. I'm technically the introvert. So they're all the extroverts, and I just sometimes sit and watch them like, y'all, it's really, but they're extroverted, I'm introverted, but they also in many ways push me out. They cause me to have to, okay, you can spread your wings and do that. Go ahead and do that. You know, so that's my cheerleading team. They will cheer me on. And then they joke me because they say I'm the one that sounds like mom when they say stuff. And I'm like, oh, girl, you really gonna do that? And oh, Lord, here come Mel. So they are part of my network as well, but everybody functions in different roles. And I've never put the burden on anyone to be one thing for me. And that's one thing that I sometimes will try to encourage my students and my mentees, that, you know, I haven't found that one person that is all. Now, if someone else may have that bestie that can do it all, but I haven't found that. For me, it's different women coming together to become the unit that I need. Yeah.
Thank you. How important is a mentor? Anyone?
I don't know if you want others to answer. You know, I think it's critical.
Having a mentor it's critical to aid the success of someone, and especially if you can find someone who will be able to learn how you are as a person and those things that you need to help you foster success as a person in your personal life, and then within your professional life as well, and then any career aspirations to help you through it all. It's interconnected with your wellness as well. It's good to have support, solid support.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say a mentor is very crucial because not only like Dr. Williams was saying, like, you know, you don't always have to have a mentor just for your major. You can have a mentor that helps you with life skills, or a mentor that helps you with your professional development, or a mentor that helps you maneuver certain things in the workplace. So with that, I guess a mentor is really important because they're the person who has been down that road that you want to go down. And I was always told, you know, if you want to know, you know, what's down that road, you know, ask somebody coming back. They're the ones who have the experience. They're the ones who know. And just, again, having that balance of people, like I've learned that not just one person will be your mentor. You'll have multiple people that will be your mentor at different times of your life also. So yeah, with that, because my major is engineering and it's a male dominated field. And I'm doing well in school, but still it's isolating. It's, you know, there's not many women. There's definitely not many Black women. And you know, sometimes it gets lonely, and sometimes as an African-American woman, you just want to talk to someone who's a professional that understands, like, it's hard. You know, a mentor is there for you to vent as well. So a mentor plays a very key role outside of your parents or even your family support. So.
Thank you. Anyone else? How dynamic, I'm sorry, go on, Kenya.
No, I just wanted to add that one thing that now one of my mentors that came later in my life going into the doctoral program, we were the same age. And I took my journeys, I took about 10 years off from my double master's degree into a doctorate program. In the process, lived a very full and vibrant life and traveled, and I've been working within education as an educator in different capacities. And so when I went into my doctoral program, you know, when you live full life, you know, you're coming in with a breadth of experiences. But one of my first semester professors, and we connected immediately, and she's now a mentor. We happen to be the same age, etc. But she said something to me: build your tribe. Who is in your tribe? And that was so poignant into this very day. And I've been in my program now for a year, and I still have the list that I created about my tribe. And then so with the tribe, I have different categories in terms of who am I going to go to for which area? So is it for the writing component? Am I going to go to this person just for a pep talk? Or am I going to go to this person because they might have some resources or some contacts? Will I go to this person for a job opportunity, right? In terms of just thinking about your network. And so I built my tribe and thinking about the people I've connected with over the years. And she's now, you know, one of my committee members and et cetera. But that stuck with me. And although she had already completed the doctorate and I was entering into a doctorate program, it was very poignant because that was the same exact language that one of her mentors gave her in terms of building a tribe. And I'm going to pass that on to, I like to pass on to anyone that I connect with as well in terms of building a list of your tribe. People might come and go, different areas, different seasons and brackets, but who is a part of your tribe? And my goal is to always find a way of connecting with them every semester. So as I'm in this semester of my courses, right, or even after completing how do I find ways of staying in contact? Is it a phone call? Is it an email? Is it a quick check-in on a chat? And so each person, we have our own communication style, but it definitely plays a role. So I look forward to connecting to more of you here after today.
Thank you.
I was gonna make a quick comment. Can I do
Okay, Martha.
Yeah, hi. I'm Martha. I'm actually a faculty member. So I've been out of the doctoral process for about 5 years. Yeah, about 5 years now. And I was thinking about the question about how important it is to have a mentor, because I feel like I was one of those folks who didn't have a mentor, right? So I came through the process very, I don't want to say independently, because that's not true, but I didn't have enough people who were in the right places to kind of guide my career. And I can say now, you know, once you finish the process, that's one thing. I had an advisor and all those things. But then once you get, and I'm so sorry, I have a newborn baby. So that's why that's why I'm kind of all over the place. And I just heard her waking up, so I'll be brief. But to the people who are in the process, I have found it is so important to have a mentor, because that will be the change between, you know, your career, you know, I don't want to say it will eliminate a lot of pitfalls in your career. So that was my point to it. So Dr. Williams, this was awesome what you're saying. I'm going to just like mute myself again to go get the baby. But I think that is so important. Like, you will avoid so many pitfalls. You'll know what to do. You'll have a good, you know, kind of trajectory. Even like you said about tenure and promotion. I go up for tenure and promotion next year, and I feel so behind the 8 ball. And now I'm like trying to, you know, make up for lost time. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, and thank you. I know Dr. Wilkins said she had to go. How dynamic is your mentor? If you have one, if you have a tribe, I like that, Kenya. If you have a tribe of mentors, do you have one that just stands out more than the others?
I know I do. Like I said, the one person that I consider like my mom mentor, she has had her own practice as a CPA. She's the church that she is the executive pastor for, I think they're at about 13,000. So it's a fairly large church, a mega church, I guess, if you will. You know, she's written books. She's has multiple companies that she manages. So to me, she is someone that has been where I'm desiring to go, which is pretty cool. And then also, I love her because she never tells me it's not possible. And sometimes you just need women who think in that way. Meaning I'm mom, you know, I have goals and things. I want to be a great mother. And she doesn't tell me, but you can't be a great mother and do this. You know, she just says there are going to be sacrifices that you have to make. There are going to be challenges. There are going to be some things that they're always going to pull on mom to do. She gives me a very realistic picture, but she doesn't tell me it's impossible. And you will meet some people who will just tell you, you can't do that, or that won't work, or this is what, and she just has not, she's never made me feel that way. She's told me to count the cost. She's been very realistic, but she's dynamic to me because she's living proof that it can be done. You know, it's just gonna be work. She's very honest.
Let me ask, this is always a super loaded question, but I love to hear the answers. Why did you decide to pursue a doctor?
Oh, for me, the first one was because, like I said, I realized I was not happy in the career field that I was in. I was making, like I said, making very decent money, but I would come to work every day and just feel like empty. I just would feel like I'm just going through the motions. And I thought back to what I was passionate about. And I was like, you know, I loved being on campus. I love literature. I love writing. And that's when I said, I'm gonna just go out here. And my mentor at the time had a doctorate. And I said, well, what could I do with what I love? And that's when I said, oh, I could be an English professor. And at the time, I was like, well, at least I could teach a couple classes if I decide. So that really was it. I know some people I always wanted to be a lawyer, or I always wanted to be a doctor or whatever. I didn't have that. I just had the lack of being fulfilled for me was like, I think what God used to help me see that there was more out there. And when I had a mentor at that time who had a doctorate, and I thought about it, and that's what kind of like awakened it in me that I might be able to do something like that. And so I think in part seeing another Black woman that made it possible made me think, oh, I might be able to do that too. Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, Dr. Shearer. Anybody else want to share? Why did you want to pursue? Okay.
Me, it pretty much, it changed when I had did my master's, and I did it in new media journalism. Mm-hmm. And what ended up happening, sometimes some of the stories that I was covering, because it was more or less that I love to write, I wasn't looking at it as a pursuit to go into media relations or being, you know, the weather lady. It was nothing like that. It was just the fact of, I love to write, and I wanted to get a little more creative. So in that journey, I started doing articles on school system, especially for children in underprivileged neighborhoods. And there were things I started seeing that really bothered me. And I felt like, why aren't these things being explored? Where's the advocates? I see advocates for another type of school or another type of area, but I don't see it for us. And then, like I said, my story is unique. Due to some health issues, I work from home. I teach online. I teach English as a second language to children in Beijing.
And then I said, but wait a minute, as much as I enjoy teaching these children in Beijing, what about the children here? They don't have the same help. I'm teaching these children how to speak English. And what about our kids here? And I see, we'll help. And it's nothing bad against the motherland. I'll do anything I can for Africa. If there's a program I could get involved in, I would do it. But what about our kids here in neighborhoods that are lacking the resources? And then the pandemic, I'm in a class. Then during the pandemic, I saw how our students were failing. Like they're not where they need to be. And that was all I needed to take and make me say, you know what, I need to do something. So even though I can't do but so much, I'm working on my own program. I wanted to further my studies so I can have the intellect, not to just work in the area, but to be able to facilitate my own program in helping and give back to the community. And that became my why of pursuing a doctoral degree.
Great. Anybody else like to share?
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Chu.
How you doing? I pursued a doctoral more for personal reasons. I work in higher ed, but I never saw myself necessarily wanting to climb the ladder. But in my master's program, both of the professors, one a Black woman who took me on as a mentee, the first day I came into her office, because I worked under her as a graduate assistant, she said, you're going for a doctorate, right? And I'm like, this is the first day, first day I'm starting a master's. I never even thought about, going for it past this. And so that always stuck in my mind. And then another professor in the program, he said all his classes were preparing all of us to be doctors. And so that always sat in my mind. Now I've worked in higher ed on the administrative side. I've worked in admissions. I've done advising, and I got to a point where I needed some stimulation. Decided at the time I didn't have a child, didn't have a husband, and I said this is the best time than any to try to look into it. And that's when I started. And in that process, I got married and had a child. So it ended up a very different process in the end. But yeah, that was my reasoning.
How many of you can just truthfully say that you just truly enjoyed your journey, or you're enjoying your doctoral journey? I know you have a lot of hiccups here and there, probably changes of professors, and mentors too as well. But how many of you can say that you're really, really enjoying it? You're learning a lot of things that you really took for granted or that you didn't even know about?
Oh yeah, that's me. I personally can't say that I enjoyed mine. I'm glad that I got through it with the help of my mentors, and like I put in the chat, my sister circle that was formed by just connecting with other doctoral students across programs. We're all in different states, and just having that, it goes back to that mentorship and having that support in that we were all, I don't think I've met any person of color that has said that they haven't had challenges within their doctoral programs. And we basically all connected with the issues that we were facing in our doctoral programs. And I would love to be able to say that it was a joy to go through the program. I mean, the work itself is a lot and straining, but to have the microaggressions on top of that, and being treated differently than cohort members, it was very, very difficult to get through my program. But again, with the help of my mentors and my family and my peer support groups, I was able to do it, and I'm glad that it's over.
Thank you,
will
Dr.
say,
Perry.
yeah, I enjoyed up to the
Hey, Dr.
dissertation phase, but I really did enjoy the program itself. I was blessed in my program. Went to Old Dominion University. My cohort, actually, majority were Black women, and I was blessed in that. And I think that was the first time that ever happened in the program. That we all found ourselves like, hey, I didn't know you could, how you doing? And so we all really served as kind of as mentors to each other, and as a peer group, really. One Black male, and even now, I finished last year. We still have people, still chugging along, and we just, serve as cheerleaders for them to come through.
That's great.
And I will say I'm in a doctoral program, and I'm on the other end where I can truly say that I am very grateful that I was led into this program at this school at this time. 10 years ago, I went directly from a master's degree into a PhD program, and it was not the right time, the right program, the right fit. And I knew immediately within the first week or two. And so the ways in which God shifted me, right, and allowed me to pause, but to flourish in other ways. And so when it was time for me to begin thinking about a program, I knew specifically, like after living life and professionally growing and developing, I knew exactly what I wanted to envision. And I had seen my colleagues right before me. I'd seen classmates of mine who might have weathered through the storm and stayed. I'd seen family. So I was very grateful to have been on the observation lens, and to be able to almost I know for a fact it was truly designed for me to be in this EDD program at this time at this school. And for me, it became full circle because Virginia State University, where I'm getting my doctorate degree, is where I actually went for undergrad years ago. And so I came really full circle, and I have advisors, I have cohort members, we're all not on one accord, but listen, we're making it do what it do. But the reality is that it has been a good experience thus far in terms of supporting and helping one another. If I need to call one of my professors right now, I can do so. So I'm very grateful for this particular time and this experience. And thus far, I'm sure when we get to the writing, when we get to the research, because even this introductory phase of getting this proposal together and these topics together, right, has been, one for the books. But I am grateful in the sense of even the levels of pushing us to be greater, and those tough and difficult conversations. I know they're coming from a meaningful and not a harming space, but a space to make me better. And so I'm very grateful, and I'm at an HBCU doing this work and talking about Black people and Black education. So it's like all full circle. And I'm a Black woman, so it's all full circle for me. And I'm one of those in a doctorate program that has had a good experience thus far.
Yeah.
And I'm going to continue to speak that thing. We're going to continue to have a good experience. Okay.
And honestly, I'm just going to say that kind of parallels my experience, because the first time around, the program that I was in, I was one of 2 African-American people total. And so, and the program was fairly new. So the 5 years, I guess that's but there's very different than what I just went with the 3 years at Union. I mean, a total difference. And I did all my education at PWI. So to be at an HBCU now after teaching at one for 5 years, I'm so excited to finish. And it really was a completely different experience. So I'm grateful for that too, to be in a community where I feel like this degree, I really did flourish in many good ways.
Now, Dr. Williams, we want to thank you so very much for sharing all of
Thank
your
you.
experiences and knowledge and everything with you. And for everybody, ladies, you have just been fantastic this afternoon. I would be remiss if I wouldn't have our executive director of the Black Doctoral Network to at least say hello to us this afternoon, as she has popped back on to let us know that our time is winding up, or has pretty much well come to a close. But we have a couple of more things that I definitely want to say. First of all, please try to join us back on April the 27th at 3 o'clock for our next workshop on Black women leaders, how to secure a seat at the table. And that may definitely be some of interest to all of you. I think we all want to have that seat at the table and try to see the best way to secure it too as well. But before I would like to have like 2 volunteers to just stay back and do a little testimonial video about your experience from this particular workshop as we're recording it. And also I put the evaluation link for the survey in the chat, and that's actually going to be confidential for your feedback. So that will help us for our next workshops too as well. But I will now have doctoral candidate Deandra Taylor, the Executive Director of the Black Doctoral Network, to say something to us this afternoon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Scott Dunmore. Thank you so much, Dr. Mel. I'm sure a wonderful presentation. I was there for the first about 20 minutes and hearing your story. So thank you all for joining us today. I greatly appreciate the level of engagement that I'm seeing, and I hope that you'll continue to support our workshop series. As Dr. Scott Dunmore has said, we'll have our next workshop next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, and you'll receive the email blast about that tomorrow morning so that you can register. Again, these workshops are free to those in our membership. So we welcome, you or your friends to become members if you're not already members. There is a small fee for non-members to attend the workshops, but from what we're seeing, a lot of people are registering to become members so they can get the free access to the entire series. So we're glad for that. And again, if we can get just 2 volunteers or so, we want to encourage you all to please be sure that you complete the evaluation. We'll get the recording posted and shared for you all. But if we can have 2 volunteers,
don't put them too far
back,
away. Because
that would be greatly appreciated.
If you don't.
Oops, sorry. All right, so again, if we can have 2 volunteers to stay back and give a quick video testimonial, that would be greatly appreciated. And just thank you again, Dr. Mel, Dr. Scott Dunmore, and all of you for being here today.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Take care.